right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, finally, a physique update from Brandon Curry's Arnold Classic prep. Now, Brandon says in the caption of this post that this was from 15 days out, so essentially 2 weeks out from the show. And I feel like Brandon has been largely overlooked in this Arnold Classic lineup. Brandon Curry had a great 2025, honestly, even though he didn't win either one of the major shows. In 2025, at the Olympia, he was still 7th. He was top 7 in the world at the Olympia, and many people argue he should have been even higher than that. Some people had him over Nick Walker. And then at last year's Arnold Classic, Brandon was still top 4 in that lineup. And that was a highly competitive Arnold Classic last year. If you guys remember, that Arnold, you had Derek beating Samson Dauda in those 1 and 2 spots. That was the biggest, probably one of the biggest upsets of the year. And you had Andrew Jacked in 3rd, Brandon Curry right there behind him in that 4th place spot. That was a good Arnold Classic lineup last year. And Brandon was still right there in the mix. So even though we keep talking about Nick Walker, Hadi Chupin, Andrew Jacked, and Martin Fitzwater as your probable top 4, I feel like we're really overlooking Brandon Curry here, because at 43 years old, he's really not aged out of the conversation. If you look at his recent placings and you look at his contest history, I mean, it just feels like it's been so long, because he won the Olympia, 7 years ago now. It was 2019. It seems like, that was his heyday, and it seems like that was in his past. And he won the 2022 Arnold Classic. He won the 2019 Arnold Classic. But year over year, if you go back to the 2024 Olympia, where Brandon was 9th, he actually improved his placing from 2024 to 2025. And in my opinion, the 2025 Olympia was more competitive than the 2024 Mr. Olympia. So even at 43, Brandon is still improving year over year. And I think it would be a mistake to count him out here. Now, I do think largely the reason why not a lot of people have been talking about Brandon as a top threat here is the fact that he hasn't posted really any physique updates. I think, honestly, this might be the only one that we've seen from this Arnold Classic prep. We've seen some training videos and stuff, kind of sporadically on his Instagram and YouTube, but I think this is the only actual, posing physique update, showcase type of update that we've seen from him, I think, this entire prep. And I think on top of that, the obvious other reason is because, when you're talking about top 4, you're looking at Olympia placings. And in order, you would have Hadi Chupin, Andrew Jacked, Martin Fitzwater, and Nick Walker, who all placed higher than Brandon at the Olympia. So I think the assumption is those are really the guys that are vying for a top 3 spot at the Arnold this year. But I think it'd be a mistake to count Brandon out. He still looks incredible in this update. He looked incredible at last year's Arnold. I think he looked incredible still at the Olympia 2025. And if we go to, improving year over year, he moved up 2 placings at the Olympia from 24 to 25. Could he move up placings at the Arnold from 25 to 26? He was 4th last year. Could he move up into the top 3? Could we see another improved version of Brandon? And it's interesting because, these last couple of preps that Brandon has done, specifically the Olympia prep, he did from home. He didn't go to Kuwait. He didn't do the oxygen gym thing that he typically does. In his prep from home, he still looked incredible and improved, which seems to be what he's doing this time around again, not going over, leaving his family to go to Kuwait. And that seems to have been a decent strategy for him. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Brandon Curry at the 2026 Arnold Classic, where do you see him placing? Could he be a top 3 guy? Is there even a remote chance that he wins the show? Or do you feel like he's going to be out of the conversation, maybe in a 5th or 6th place spot? It's really hard to say. Brandon is a bit of a wild card for me. I certainly see him in the top 6. But that upper echelon, especially, like I said, top 4 last year, this is going to be a tough top 4 when you've got Martin, Nick, Hadi, and Andrew. But then again, at last year's Arnold, where he was 4th, you had 2 Mr. Olympias ahead of him in that lineup, Samson and Derek, both of whom aren't even here this year. And you still had Andrew Jacked in that lineup last year where Brandon was 4th. So you could argue that was as competitive, if not more competitive, than this year's Arnold Classic lineup. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, Urs Kalecinski's Arnold Classic predictions for both open bodybuilding and classic physique. Now, I thought these were pretty interesting predictions. So, open bodybuilding I thought was more interesting than classic physique. Open bodybuilding, he has Andrew Jacked winning, Martin Fitzwater in second, Nick Walker in third, and Hadi Chupin surprisingly in fourth place here. I'm guessing the assumption is, and this was from a Q&A on his Instagram page, on his Instagram story, so he didn't really give a full explanation of why, but I'm assuming his assumption is that maybe the stress in all this, drama and controversy that are surrounding Hadi right now, I'm assuming the assumption is that that's going to get to him and maybe impact his look. Now, as far as Andrew Jacked winning, I don't think that's an unrealistic prediction. I think there is a chance that Andrew Jacked wins the show. I think Hadi Chupin in fourth place, to me, I think that seems a little crazy. I think Hadi, I've said this many times, that I think Hadi is one of the most consistent bodybuilders, if not the most consistent, that we've seen in the modern era. I mean, we've seen him face multiple stressors and adversities in these preps, and he always shows up one of the most conditioned guys in the show. He's been slightly off here and there, but an off version of Hadi is like a 100% version of some of the other bodybuilders in this lineup. Now, Nick Walker in third. I've heard, I was talking to someone behind the scenes that has seen recent progress pictures of Nick Walker. Because in the last couple of weeks, Nick has kind of slowed down and kind of stopped posting physique updates to his Instagram. But I talked to someone who has seen some recent updates, and they say this is his best ever look. Leaner, fuller, drier, more aesthetically pleasing, and they actually have Nick as the front runner to win the show. So I thought that was interesting. I thought I'd share that with you guys. But as far as Urs's classic physique predictions, not surprisingly, he has Mike Sommerfeld winning. I think a lot of people do at this point. He has Wesley Vissers in second and Andrea Mamoli in third place. I actually really like the classic physique predictions here. I think there's a good chance that this is the way that it goes. He does have Matthias Menengate outside of the top three, which based on Olympia placings, you would think that Menengate is a shoo-in for top three. But I do like Mamoli in the top three. You guys know, I really like what we've been seeing from Andrea Mamoli in these last couple of weeks. Him in the top three, I like that prediction. Now, speaking of Wesley Vissers, we got a series of physique updates from Wesley Vissers today. And in a recent interview on the Menace podcast, Wesley mentioned that he's at his all-time best right now. He thinks this is his best look ever currently. And he thinks if he weren't sick at the 2024 Arnold Classic, it wouldn't have been Mike and Logan battling it out for the win. It would have been him and Mike. And again, we didn't see Wesley at the Olympia this year, so we don't know where he would have landed in that lineup. All we saw was the off version of Wesley on the Arnold Classic stage, when the year prior he won back-to-back Arnold Classics, and at the 2024 Olympia ended up in 8th place. And I think that's the biggest question that a lot of people have is, if he is truly back to his all-time best and he brings that 2024 look, can he regain the title that he lost in 2025? And I do think he can. I think, though, if Mike is at 100% and Wesley is at 100%, Mike wins. If Mike is off and Wesley is at 100%, being the 2024 look or better, Wesley can win. That's what happened when Wesley won in 2024. He was going up against Ramon Dino. Ramon was off. Wesley was at his all-time best. He was 100%. Wesley won. That's the scenario where Wesley wins this Arnold Classic. If Mike comes in a little bit off, which there's always a chance that he does, and Wesley is back to 2024 Wesley, I think Wesley can win that battle. Otherwise, though, if Mike is on, I feel like this is his show. And I think you could argue that even at last year's Arnold Classic, Mike showed some vulnerability, even though he was still top two at the Olympia back-to-back years, 25 and 24. He left the door open a little bit because Logan Franklin, I feel like, really pushed Mike at that Arnold Classic, but then somehow Logan Franklin at this year's Olympia, 2025, wound up in 12th place. So 10 placings behind Mike, but at the Arnold, he was pushing Mike. So somebody that was 10 placings behind him at the Olympia, I think you could have made an argument for them beating Mike at last year's Arnold. Even though Mike inevitably won that show, I really do think that Logan pushed him hard. And so the same thing could happen with Wesley, even though Mike is this, seemingly heir to the throne. He's the guy pushing. He's top 2 at the Olympia. Maybe he's one of the future Classic Physique Olympia champs. I think that he has shown vulnerability. And I think another way to look at it is, Ramon beat Mike at the Olympia this year. And Wesley has beaten Ramon. So you could make the argument that Wesley can also beat Mike. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and give me your predictions for both open bodybuilding and classic physique at the Arnold Classic. How do you think this is going to go? That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already, and as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. Thank you for watching today's video. If you guys want more bodybuilding content, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Just search Nick Strength and Power on any of those platforms and follow the verified account. If the daily YouTube videos don't satisfy your need for bodybuilding content, I post 24/7 across those 3 platforms, bodybuilding content all day long. And of course, like and subscribe here on YouTube. Thank you.